Federal, states and local governments record 43 billion naira shortfall in allocation. Federal government assures investors of value for money in their investments in the oil and gas sector. NNPC commends the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company for achieving 100% local content input in the development of integrated gas handling facility. Plus, the federal government committed to increasing the total value and volume of non-oil exports. There's and more on this edition of Business Express, coming to you from the network studios of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's bring you up to speed with business development. The sum of 569.281 billion naira has been shared among the three tiers of government as distributable statutory revenue for the month of September 2018. The Minister of Finance and Chairman, Federal Account Allocation Committee, Zainab Ahmed, said the amount is about 57 billion naira, less than that of last month.
Amount after the cost of collections to the three tiers of government are as follows. To the federal government of Nigeria, the amount to be distributed is 265.679 billion naira. To the 36 states, is 134.753 billion naira. To the local governments, it's 103.888 billion naira.
The minister attributed this to the shutdown of pipelines, which resulted to reduction of production, and crude oil export sales increased by 0.17 million barrels. The non-oil sector generated a total of 564.8 billion, which is less than the amount earned last month. The new terminal building for Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagwa, Rivers State, has been inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari. This is not only in furtherance of his administration's infrastructure renewal program, but represents a significant landmark for international air travelers from the Niger Delta region. Adamu Sambo reports.
Muhammadu Buhari. The new airport terminal building in Port Harcourt is one of the four other similar projects being executed in Abuja, Lagos and Kano through the China Exim Bank initial loan facility of $500 million, as well as the counterpart contribution of $100 million by the federal government. The Buhari administration inherited the project at 30% level of execution and ensured its completion as part of deliberate efforts at sustaining the development of infrastructure for economic growth in all the geopolitical zones of the country. Addressing participants at the ceremony, President Muhammadu Buhari commended the people of the Niger Delta region as well as airport users for their patience and understanding during the period of construction. The project, he said, is part of government's efforts at modernizing the aging airport infrastructure to meet global aviation standards and improve service delivery in tandem with best international practices.
Nigeria, having an advantageous central location within the sub-region and our desire to develop into regional air transportation hub, must upgrade its facilities to take advantage of its assets. The recent decision by the federal government to remove value-added tax from domestic air transportation is in line with global best practices.
The president said following population explosion with consequent surge in air passenger traffic, the capacity of the airport terminals became woefully inadequate, hence the decisive action by government on the aviation sector as catalyst for economic growth.
This will make air travel more affordable and subsequently lead to the creation of jobs by air transport service value chain, as well as increase revenues for the government.
He also promised to sustain efforts at developing Nigeria's power and health sectors, as well as the completion of all abandoned infrastructure projects, especially the railroads. Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State expressed delight over the completion of the project, which he described as significant to the economic development of the state, and promised to partner with the federal government towards improving the access road to the facility.
I can tell you that for this today, the people of Rivers State, the people of Niger Delta are happy for seeing this. What you are doing today will boost the economy of the state, will create employment for our people, will bring in investors to this state.
The new terminal building has the capacity to process 7 million passengers annually. Given our desire to develop into a regional air transportation hub, we remain committed to ensuring that our industry remains safe and secure, and above all, to keep pace with the global world trend.
The two-story terminal building has, among other facilities, 24 check-in counters, 3 baggage collection conveyor belts, 28 immigration desks, 4 security screening points, and 4 passenger boarding gates.
Today, as the senator represents Rivers East Senatorial District, where this airport is located, I feel fulfilled that the airport that is described as being the worst in the world is among the best in the world.
The Port Harcourt Airport, which is the 3rd busiest in Nigeria, recording in 2017 alone a passenger volume of 1.08 million, was also rated as the 3rd worst in the world. That poor rating, however, aviation experts believe can be completely altered by putting into use the newly inaugurated terminal building.
Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria says that its decision to restrict foreign exchange for importation of 41 items and other complementary policies were effective in bringing the country's economy out of recession. The CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, said the policy was well thought out as it assists greatly in boosting the country's foreign exchange reserves, which currently stand at about $42.46 billion. The CBN had on June 23, 2015, placed a restriction on accessing forex in the official forex market for the importation of some goods and services. The aim was to encourage local production of the items, conserve the foreign reserves, resuscitate domestic industries, and boost employment creation. Some of the items barred from accessing forex at the official market were rice, cement, poultry, tin fish, furniture, toothpick, kitchen utensils, tablewares, textiles, clothes, tomato paste, soap, and cosmetics. The African Development Bank, FDB, recorded an impressive project performance, disbursing a record $5.1 billion to projects and programs across Africa last year. This represented an increase of 14% over the previous all-time high of $4.5 billion in 2016. The bank said in a statement that its strong performance and ratings are based on the solid support from its shareholders. For instance, its net operational earnings for 2017 showed a 63% jump to $597 million from $109 million in 2016, capping a 5-year upward trend from 2013. Nigeria is assuring investors of getting value for money in their investment in the oil and gas sector. Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Emmanuel Ibe-Kachikwu, who gave the assurance at Atlanta, Georgia, said major reforms put in place by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration fast-track ease of doing business. Correspondent Lydia Sampson reports.
The strategic investors meeting was organized to present oil and gas investment opportunities in Nigeria. Kickstarting the conversation, Minister of State Petroleum Resources Emmanuel Ibe-Kachikwu says Nigeria remains an important destination for investors. He said, though Nigeria have challenges like any other nation, President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption fight has come up with reforms and transparency in biddings.
In the state of Georgia and North Carolina, who are here, very excited about the prospects in Nigeria. Certainly very excited about the policies that we've put in place under the leadership of the President Muhammadu Buhari. And I think these are things to follow up. A lot of excitement about coming to Nigeria, a lot of challenges that are thrown at the face of the black Americans on why they need to come to Nigeria and begin to invest in this country.
Chief executives of various agencies also spoke on strategies in their agencies and their resolve to provide level playing ground as well as provision of value for money on investments to the country.
There will be a lot of opportunity in pipeline for both gas, for liquids, as earlier mentioned, and even for the crude oil.
The concept here is to have an industrial park where you can gather as much gas as you can, ship out the liquids, do whatever you can do with the liquids. Then the dry gas is available for industrial feedstock, for all the kind of fertilizer plants that can come up within that industrial sector, and also a small power plant that can create.
To ensure and maximize Nigerian participation in the sector. Because a lot of people worry about Nigerian content as being a protectionist agenda of the government. That's not what it is. It is more about creating jobs. It's more about ensuring Nigerian participation in the oil and gas sector.
No, let's open the space to competition. So there is a design of absolutely transparent, open bidding process that is going to come on stream. And today we have about 41 marginal fields that are scattered across our onshore, swamp, and shallow water across our framework.
The investors also gave an assurance of not just investing, but continuous conversation with others to showcase Nigeria.
It's not just a notion, but it's something that you've got to be very, very serious and prepared to do when you go to Nigeria. So I thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to learn where you're at today. For me and the other U.S. business folks in the room to be able to hear and to understand what it is that we really need to do and where's the focus of Nigeria, because that was the first thing I did wrong.
The meeting ended with networking, business matchmaking, and personal interface amongst participants.
We now join our energy correspondent Lydia Sampson, who is attending the meeting in Atlanta via Skype to discuss further on Nigeria's strategic investors and what Nigeria hopes to gain. Hello, Lydia. First of all, what is the mission of the Ministry of Petroleum in the United States?
The mission basically, like you had in that report, is to showcase investment opportunities in the oil and gas sector. And the minister led a high power delegation, meaning all executive members of the ministry, executive officers of agencies under the ministry are in Atlanta, Georgia. And mainly is to allay the fear of investors who want to come to Nigeria, but have never been there, some of them, and are hearing stories that they feel they will not have value for money. But the minister and other key people who spoke to the investment and the will-be investors, allayed their fears and told them about ongoing reforms in the sector put in place by President Muhammadu Buhari. And so far, they've kick-started a good conversation, I must say.
At their meeting, and what are the messages?
The messages are that is that Nigeria is still a destination hub in Africa. That Nigeria, like any country in the world, has little challenges, but so much has been done since the assumption of office of President Muhammadu Buhari in the last 3 years, especially when they came on board and Nigeria was in recession. Much has been put in place to make sure the oil and gas sector has been repositioned, and it is now going to be more private sector driven, with, of course, a local content at every stage, so that employment opportunities will also be created. But they did assure the investors that anyone who wants to come and invest in the oil and gas sector should come with an open mind, and that indeed they will get value for money. Some critical questions were asked by investors, especially in the areas of security in the Niger Delta and in the north. And they were told that so far, the investment will not be affected, and government is tackling militancy in the Niger Delta through constant interface and visits, and the Boko Haram also has been decimated. And so they shouldn't be too worried about the issue of security, but to just come and invest in Nigeria, and they will get value for money.
Okay, what can you tell us about the response of the investors?
I must say it was fantastic, because a typical example, Musa, somebody actually saw me and was talking to me about investment. And I said, hey, I'm just a journalist. Let me just take you to the right person. And at the end, I met him and I said, I hope the person I took you to was able to answer your questions. He did give me an assurance personally that he will be coming to Nigeria to invest. And he's not just one. The person, Mr. Stephen Hightower, who responded on behalf of investors, also said most of the critical questions they heard were answered by the delegation, and now they know that Nigeria is serious, and they're not just coming to invest in oil and gas, but they're looking at other ways too of investing in Nigeria, maybe energy, and they did talk about investing even in agriculture. And so I think it's a conversation that has started, and I must say, even though it's my impression that it looks promising.
Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you very much, Lydia Samson. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has commended the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, for achieving 100% local content input in the development of Ooredoo Integrated Gas Handling Facility. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, made the commendation when he visited NPDC, its upstream subsidiary. Statement released by the corporation says Dr. Baru is proud that a world-class facility is being put in place by Nigerian engineering contractor in conjunction with another Nigerian company. Massive investment in infrastructure is crucial to economic growth and development. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this in Ibadan at the 14th edition of the special town hall meeting. The minister noted that it is realization of this that made the current administration to give priority to investment in critical infrastructure in the last 3.5 years. He added that one cannot talk about the developed Western nations without talking about their roads, power, ports and rail system. This is because these nations have invested massively in infrastructure over the years, realizing that infrastructure spurs economic growth by enhancing productivity and efficiency. He further said the present administration has put in place infrastructure that will be a catalyst to the much-needed economic development in Nigeria. The federal government is committed to increasing the total value and volume of non-oil exports. The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Mr. Segun Awolowo, who stated this, noted that the present economic realities in the country has made it necessary to diversify the economy from its sole dependence on oil. He said that the Nigerian Export Promotion Council is focused on providing support services to exporters in the value chain of products such as cashew, cassava, shea butter, sesame seeds, yam, and oil and palm oil. The NEPC boss also added that the Zero Oil Plan and the One State Product Strategy already incorporated in the National Economic Recovery and Growth Plan are geared towards creating employment for youths. The federal government and Nigerian Agribusiness Group is to provide financial support for crop and livestock production in the country. Comfort Amadou has details.
Despite effort made in the agricultural sector, farmers still grapples with challenges of access to land, finance, fertilizer procurement, and poor access to market, which often limits productivity and results in post-harvest losses. Considering these hurdles, the federal government says it is poised to tackle headlong via creation of enabling environment and partnership with agribusiness groups and creation of both local and international markets to enable farmers access markets and meet off-takers online.
2019, we are going on to maize and soya. The tomato issue was that we have succeeded in getting the federal government, Federal Executive Council, to now come up with a tomato policy, which is now being implemented.
And for Nigeria to become self-sufficient in food production, agriculturists say it is imperative for government to sustain agricultural policies to drive the economy. They also provide strategies and solutions to minimize high cost of food in the country.
Everybody is looking at agriculture, so that reawakening is very, very critical. And then again, we have never had fertilizer at a very controlled price in this country until now. This presidential initiative brings fertilizer to the farmers at 5,000 and 5,500 sustainably, and that is very, very good.
The draft bill that are with the National Assembly, which will facilitate and aids agricultural production, food security, in line with the agenda of the current administration.
Oil settles higher as stock markets gain. Saudi signals intervention. Let's have a look. Now, the NSE All Share Index closed this week's trading session Friday on a positive note. It appreciated 1.11% to close 32,907.33 basis points, with market capitalization rising to 12.013 trillion naira. This is where we end Business Express. Keep a date with us for another episode of the program. But before we go, remember you can contribute to the program via our website, Business Express, at nta.gov.ng. You can also reach us through our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizXShowing on your screen. I am Musa Abubakar.